The Trump family became a target after a wave of protests from the extreme left and radical political attacks began to surround projects linked to Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and the president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, outside the United States. This Friday, June 5, 2026. The case gained momentum because the anti-Trump opposition is trying to undermine private investment abroad, while also putting pressure on businesses linked to the Trump name in Belgrade, Australia, and Georgia. The attack doesn't target just a resort, an island, or a project. It targets the Trump surname, the family's international influence, and any opening created by the president's allies in strategic regions. What do they want to destroy? Why did this boycott start now? How does the left try to turn investment into a scandal? I'll tell you all about it in a moment. If you like this kind of content, direct and straight to the point, consider subscribing because we post videos like this every day. The pressure is centered in Albania, where a tourism project linked to Affinity Partners, an investment company founded by Jared Kushner, has sparked protests in Tirana and in the coastal region near the Vjosa Narta area. The project involves an island in the Mediterranean and a sensitive stretch of coastline, with talk of tourism development, job creation, and the influx of capital and investments. Local opposition and environmentalists say they fear damage to natural areas, birds, turtles, and preserved beaches. But the movement quickly shifted from an environmental debate to a direct political attack against the Trump family. Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump became the face of the controversy because they visited the region, spoke publicly about the project's potential, and presented the idea as a high-end transformation. The anti-Trump media picked up on this statement and tried to sell the image of a family wanting to take over an entire island. From then on, the word boycott came into play. Protesters took to the streets, signs appeared, and the pressure increased on Prime Minister Ed Hamer. And the name Trump became the main target of a campaign that mixes environmental issues, Albanian domestic politics, and ideological rejection of the President of the United States. That's where the political operation comes in. Before there was a final conclusion from the authorities, before a definitive environmental report, and before conclusive evidence of a crime against the Trump family, the left had already decided the verdict. For them, if the surname Trump appears, it becomes corruption. If private investment appears, it becomes looting. If luxury tourism appears, it becomes destruction. If diplomacy falls outside the traditional playbook, it becomes a conflict of interest. The goal is not to discuss the project seriously. The goal is to attach to the name Trump the idea that he can't build, negotiate, invest, or influence anything in the world. The Belgrade case got caught up in this same mechanism. In Serbia, Kushner had been involved in a project to turn an old military complex into a luxury area. The plan faced protests, legal challenges, and ended up stalled after allegations involving local authorities. Whenever the Trump name gets attached to a major project, groups, politicians, activists, and sectors of the local bureaucracy mobilize to create public costs, stall permits, generate headlines, and pressure investors. In Australia, the cancellation of a project with the Trump brand also became ammunition. The developer stated that the name Trump had become toxic and decided to drop the brand from the project. For the anti-Trump press, this confirms a worldwide rejection. For those who look more closely, it shows how the cultural war against Trump has left the ballot box and reached the market. The target isn't just a candidacy. It's the name, the brand, the children, the sons-in-law, the partners, and any company that chooses to stay close to that political camp. Georgia also appears on this board because new projects linked to the Trump universe are emerging in an already tense political environment. In the United States, the attack escalated when Marco Rubio was questioned in Congress about Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff. Democrats pressured Rubio with accusations of conflict of interest, citing foreign investments, Middle Eastern funds, and the presence of Kushner and Witkoff in sensitive conversations about foreign policy. The intention was clear: to set a public trap for the Secretary of State and insinuate that Trump had outsourced American diplomacy to businessmen close to the family. Rubio didn't deliver the narrative the left wanted. He stated that he saw no evidence of any decision made by Witkoff for personal benefit, and emphasized that in the interactions he had, the envoy seemed to act in service of the United States. The answer was upsetting because it dismantled the main theater of the hearing. The questioning was set up to look like a live condemnation, but Rubio demanded something basic, concrete proof, not just political suspicion. The issue of Iran came up as yet another attempt to cause damage. The left tried to say that Kushner and Witkoff were treating a nuclear crisis as if it were a real estate deal. But Rubio's public position was different. He stated that any relief of sanctions on Iran must be conditioned on the abandonment of nuclear activities. This changes the focus of the story. Trump is not giving the game away. The White House keeps up the pressure, uses alternative channels, tests openings, and makes it clear that the Iranian regime will not receive benefits without giving in on the main point. This detail is important because the left tries to compare everything to Obama's nuclear deal as if that model were perfect and as if Trump had dismantled a wonderful solution. The reality is that Trump has always treated Iran as a serious threat, not as a reliable partner. The difference is that he doesn't rely solely on traditional diplomacy, the kind that talks a good game, signs papers, and then finds out that the enemy kept advancing under the table. Trump uses military pressure, sanctions, indirect negotiation, and messengers outside the diplomatic bubble. That's exactly what irritates Washington. The global boycott against the Trump family stems from that irritation. The left can't stand seeing Trump's allies circulating among investors, governments, and international negotiations. They want every strong Republican to be isolated, demonized, and afraid to appear in public. That's why the campaign doesn't stop at the Albania project. It tries to move against the Trump brand, against affinity partners, against Witkoff, against Rubio, and against any foreign government that agrees to negotiate with this group. The same pattern has already appeared in other areas. Companies linked to the right are pressured. Bankers and investors are intimidated. Conservative content creators are boycotted. Platforms are pushed to censor. Now the method has reached international projects linked to the Trump family. The logic is simple. If they can't stop Trump from governing, they try to prevent anyone connected to him from having a public life, private business, or international influence. But the other side of the story is also clear. The name Trump still moves governments, attracts capital, generates international reactions, and bothers the left because it remains strong even under constant attack. It represents a political, economic, and diplomatic network that the left has not been able to destroy. I'm Milson Alves, global internationalist, and my purpose is to keep you well informed with the truth every day. The news links are in the video description. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and at the end, check out the comments so you can be even more engaged with the Milson Alves community.